What's up, everybody? Welcome to SLC Puck. I'm your host, Austin Facer. Welcome into the show, your favorite Utah hockey podcast, SLC Puck. I got to go back and remember, when I started doing the hand thing, what the genesis was, because I'll tell you what, that was a huge mistake. I don't think going back I would ever start doing this again, but I know people like it. That's why I keep doing it. But my hand, I say this every time, it actually hurts a lot to do that. I am losing mobility in my fingers because of that. But it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make for you guys. And I made another sacrifice too to the hockey gods over at Delta Center earlier this week. So go ahead and check that out. It's a fun little video made for Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. I'm getting a lot more active on those social medias, right? So go ahead and check those out. You can follow me there. The handle is at SLC Puck. Across the board, all the socials, SLC Puck. I want to plug one more thing too. This is sort of a new offering to SLC Puck that I'm really excited about. It's a newsletter. I'm doing a twice weekly newsletter, twice weekly podcast, twice weekly newsletter. How do I find the time? That's just what I do for you guys. So go ahead and sign up. It's going to be a really simple, easy to read email. It's just going to get you caught up on all the happenings in the local hockey world, Utah Hockey Club, Grizzlies stuff in there, some high school hockey. The high school hockey state championships were this week as well. Some updates from our good friends at the University of Utah hockey program as well. They're headed to the national championships in St. Louis next week, I believe. Yeah, next week. And so we're really excited about that. So anyway, go to the newsletter, subscribe. It's free. It goes straight to your inbox, gets you caught up, and then you can pretend you know all about hockey when you talk to your coworkers about it later that day. So that's sort of the goal here at SLC Puck. I'm going to give you just enough so that you sound like you know what you're talking about. And that's really what I'm accomplishing here. I sound like I know just enough. And that's the trick right there, all right? And hey, but if you want to support the show and support all the good tomfoolery and hijinks we do here, you can go to slcpuck.shop to check out some cool merch. I got a new t-shirt, some new hats, sweatshirts, stuff for the kiddos. Summertime's coming up. We got a tank top for you as well. My signature hat is right there as well. I might have to retire this beanie, not from the shop, but just from wearing it because it's starting to get a little bit warmer out. So go ahead and check out slcpuck.shop as well. So a lot of good support. Oh, and again, our promotion with our good friends at Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers and Jonathan's Jewelry still going on. So make sure you scan that QR code to win a $250 gift card there. I'm going to plug in a commercial about that in just a second. But anyway, let's continue on with the show. Well, here we are, March 5th. The Ides of March are upon us. I had a teacher in high school who thought, I think Ides of March is has something to do with Julius Caesar or something, or the fall of the Roman Empire. Anyway, listen, this is not a history podcast, okay? I don't really know what I'm talking about there. I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about that, but I remember I had this teacher in high school who was always he's like, beware the Ides of March. And I think it was a joke that probably landed a lot better in the 1970s when people actually knew what that was. Don't know what it is, but hey, Ides of March are here, and some trades in March are happening right now. This is where roster movement is happening. We're here. I'm talking to you guys on the 5th, recording about 7:30 p.m. right now. I'm guessing you'll probably hear this on Thursday, and there might be a lot of excitement on Thursday. There's going to be trades aplenty in the NHL. What the Utah Hockey Club does remains to be seen. We've talked about this on the show, and it's been reported in the media, and I believe it's somewhat safe to say at this point, I don't think the Utah Hockey Club is going to make a substantial trade. Although one of the big shots in the NHL news-breaking world kind of dropped Utah's name in a way that got people excited, a little bit fired up about the possibilities. So I'll go ahead and play that for you guys in just a second. But other roster moves are happening this week, right? So it's the trade deadline. It's a time to sort of shape the roster for the rest of the season and kind of make plans for next season and beyond. And we saw the Utah Hockey Club make one big move this week that I think was really terrific for the future of this team. They got the Big O. Our good friend Olli Maatta has signed a 3-year contract extension with the Utah Hockey Club. I feel like this is a terrific move for Utah. Just looking at the details here. So 3-year deal worth $10.5 million. So just a little bit over $3.5 million per year. The thing that like tells me this is a great deal is the fact that the team brass is telling me that this is a great deal for the team. Bill Armstrong is super, super excited about it. Andre Tourigny as well. And I got to tell you, I like this as well. I think there's a lot of things to really feel good about this. So let me just read some quotes here. And these are not even some of the best quotes that I've seen about this. I'll try to paraphrase the good stuff that I have seen. But right here, just reading the Associated Press article, Olli is a smart defenseman and a true professional on and off the ice. GMBA said in a statement, he has brought stability to our blue line, has a tremendous work ethic, and is an excellent role model for our younger players. We look forward to having him as an important part of our core moving forward. Awesome. And just some quick details here. Maatta, who's 30 years old, has thrived in 51 games with Utah since coming over in a trade from Detroit in late October. Maatta has 2 goals and 12 assists for 14 points. He has skated an average of nearly 21 minutes a game. Woo, big minutes there, over a third of the game on the ice for Olli Maatta. I would also note here that he's a +7 in the goal differential, which is a particularly impressive stat. Not a lot of guys in the plus category that way. I think I looked it up. I looked it up. I know I looked it up. Among NHL defensemen, I think there's like probably, again, I'm just looking this up, thinking about this top of my head. I think there's probably about 400 guys who have played defense in the NHL this year. Number of guys who have a positive goal differential, I think probably only about 130 from what I can remember from just doing a little bit of cursory research on quant hockey. Another good quote here from another Armstrong, our other friend, Chris Armstrong. Olli has made an immediate and noticeable impact and a positive impression on everyone in our group. He is an important influence on the culture we continue to foster and the standards we have for our team. We are grateful for the commitment he is making to our organization. Terrific. And then just some details on Olli Maatta. Utah is Maatta's 5th NHL organization, drafted in the first round by Pittsburgh in 2012. So he's played quite a bit with Crosby and the fellas. He won the Stanley Cup with the Penguins in 16 and 17 before getting traded to Chicago in 2019. An interesting detail on that, his time in Chicago. That's where he became acquainted with another Finn who's found success in Utah. You might know him as Lauri Markkanen, who plays for the Utah Jazz. That's where they got to know each other. While Markkanen was with the Bulls, Maatta was at the Blackhawks. I think they're actually from the same town in Finland, which is kind of interesting. But they didn't know each other until both were in Chicago playing for the Bulls and the Blackhawks. And now look at this. They're both in Utah playing for the Jazz and the Utah Hockey Club. Oh, that's kind of cool. So Maatta's played with the Blackhawks, the Kings, the Red Wings most recently. But here's what I really like about this, right? I think this extension communicates a few things, and I think it communicates things internally and externally to the NHL at large. I think everything the Utah Hockey Club is doing right now when it comes to like roster moves and the way they're treating their players and the culture that they're creating, right, that Chris Armstrong just referred to, and it looks like Bill Armstrong also sort of alluded to that as well. They really want to make a good impression on the rest of the players. They know the eyes of the NHL are upon them, and if they want to be a place where guys perhaps want to get traded to would be on board with that, or perhaps would want to sign with in the offseason, this is the kind of stuff they need to do. They need to reward the guys who are making a positive impact on the ice. And as you can see in the quotes from our Armstrong fellas, being good role models off the ice. So that's why I really like it. I mean, the Utah's making it really clear. Hey, sorry, let me interrupt the show really quick, guys. Hey, we're in March right now. It's the month after our big $250 gift card from our good friends at Payne Anthony and Jonathan's Jewelry. It went incredibly well. We gave away 8 gift cards in the month of February. In fact, it went so well, I think we should do it again in March. So we're going to continue this promotion in March. $250 gift card to Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers or Jonathan's Jewelry. All you got to do is scan this. It's right here. Scan this QR code right here. Hit send on the text message. You'll be in the loop. You'll be in the drawing. If you're selected, come on down to either one of those locations to pick up your $250 gift card and some of the best looking jewelry in Salt Lake City. The stuff is awesome, by the way. We love the guys over there at Jonathan's Jewelry and Payne Anthony's Creative Jewelers. A lot of good stuff to choose from. And, you know, get yourself something nice. Get yourself something nice for your lady friend, for that special somebody in your life. You're not going to regret doing so at Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers or Jonathan's Jewelry. And we want to thank our good friends there. Oh, I almost forgot. Even if you don't win, and if you win, you still benefit from this awesome partnership. All you got to do when you go into either one of these locations, just drop SLC Puck. Just say, hey, I listen to SLC Puck. Austin sent me here. Get me some jewelry. And they'll hook it up and they'll knock $100 off your purchase. No questions asked, just like that. Alrighty. So that's it. Get to Jonathan's Jewelry. Get to sending this message. Scan the QR code. And you'll be in. And if you haven't won yet, you're still in the running. And if you want to get someone else's phone and scan the QR code, do it that way. I don't care. Do whatever you want. But big thanks to Jonathan's Jewelry and Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers for their help with this partnership. And let's get back to the show. All right. If you want to get reward, if you come in, do your job, help the team win right off the bat, we're going to reward you. And for Olli Maatta, that's huge, right? There was probably a point in this season where Olli Maatta questioned whether or not his NHL career maybe was over. He was not playing a lot with Detroit to start the year. I think he only dressed in 7 games, was not seeing any significant ice time. But Bill Armstrong recognized the need that the Utah Hockey Club had. I think this was around the time when they were getting very injured, right? Sean Durzee's injury comes to mind. But then they're like, hey, listen, we got to shore up our defense. Like, who's out there? Who's available? We like this Olli Maatta guy. He's not getting anything. He's not getting any ice time with Detroit. We can get him pretty cheap. And I think they only had to swing like maybe a couple second-round picks to get him. I don't remember. It wasn't much, right? So they brought him in, and Olli Maatta does what everyone on this Utah Hockey Club team does, which is take advantage of an opportunity to step into a bigger version of themselves. And he's rewarded with $10 million. Pretty cool. I think it's a great story. I think you could definitely say Olli Maatta is one of the unsung heroes on this team. I mean, the fact that he came in, brought that stability, brought that work ethic, brought that Stanley Cup winning mentality into the locker room, especially at a time of, like, I would imagine a little bit of crisis, right? I mean, there's all the adjusting to the newness of it all here in Utah. Guys are like, oh man, I'm trying to get a reservation at Crown Burger, but I just can't get in. Well, I'll tell you, you don't need a reservation at Crown Burger, guys. You can just get in. But they didn't know things like that, right? But Olli Maatta comes in, and he's like, listen, guys, let's steady the ship. Let's keep things steady Eddie, calm, cool, collected. Let's just go out there and win some hockey games. And that's what Olli Maatta did. He gave them a great chance to win from day one when he was on the ice. And I think you could make the argument, and Andre Tourigny said this a little bit too. He's like, you could argue that Olli Maatta probably saved our season. And I think that's something you can say and feel controversy-free, because I think bringing him in again, adding that stability, adding that presence, adding that the cool head, like he plays solid defense, and having that kind of defense enables offense, right? And that's why he's a +7 in goal differential. So really, really kind of a sneaky great move from the Utah Hockey Club, finding a great value out there in Olli Maatta, bringing him in and finding a player who is worthy of being around for the next few years. And I think they're going to be important years for the Utah Hockey Club as the team makes this evolution from the rebuilding stage that they were mired in Arizona, and probably still are a little bit here, and then moving into the contending stage. I think Olli Maatta is a huge piece of the puzzle. Let's listen into our good friend Olli Maatta to see what he had to say about his extension. This is a press conference he had yesterday with Utah Hockey Club and the Salt Lake City media.
I think right when I got here, you can feel it. It's a first-class organization. I think doesn't feel like it's a first-year thing at all. It's always been going the right way. We got the keys in here to succeed, and especially when it comes to this tough stretch. And I think it just shows how much guys care, and it's pretty incredible to be a part of that. I think right when I...
Awesome. Well, hey, sorry if it's a little crackly, guys. My soundboard's having some trouble, but that's exactly what the Utah Hockey Club wants guys to say after they sign extensions with him, because they know there are guys in the NHL who are like Olli Maatta, who are hungry for a chance. I think of guys like Kyler Yamamoto is a good example from from preseason, guys who still have a lot in the tank and just want that opportunity. Utah's like, if you earn it, we'll reward you. And I think it's that simple. And I think Olli Maatta is a terrific example of that. So far into this week, that's been the biggest news. I think we're seeing a lot of, or you're not seeing, but I think there are other things happening behind the scenes. I believe there are ongoing conversations, and this has been reported a little bit about, signing Karel Vejmelka to a long-term extension, who I think you could also make the argument has saved Utah's season at times. And I'm sure having him around is going to add, again, that stability as they continue this transition process from rebuilding into contending. And my sister is going to love hearing that they're working on an extension with Karel Vejmelka. She thinks he's handsome, so that's fabulous. And there's so many people out there who have Karel Vejmelka jerseys and who are Veggie fans. I mean, who doesn't like a guy named Veggie playing goalie for you, right? So I think there are things happening that behind the scenes that are going to come out maybe in the next day or so. Trades, though, I think are something to sort of be a little skeptical of, especially we see Utah Hockey Club trade rumors. Now, I'm going to speak purely on my own opinion on this, but Utah has been circulating as a name for some as destinations for some of these guys, right? I think right now, and thank you, just in case I go on a tangent, I have this available, and maybe I should just put this on just to make it very clear that I'm speaking about my opinion. If you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify, you don't know what I just did. I just put a tinfoil hat on my head. It's my way of signaling that this is my theory, and it might be conspiratorial. Oh, down it goes. What I'm referring to, though, was this video, this freaking video that this dinky little podcast called What Chaos. Oh, who's ever heard of those guys, right? What, are you not even podcast in a basement? There's this great clip. I'm kidding, of course. These guys do a freaking unbelievable job. But the great clip here, they had Frank Saravalli on, who is the sort of the chief content guy. He's the NHL newsbreaker from the Daily Faceoff. He's the guy who broke the news originally that the Utah Hockey Club would be coming to town, that the Coyotes would be moving here. But they have this interesting clip here. And I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to react to it and give my opinion. So again, just bear in mind, I don't know anything, but I'm sort of just piecing together like clues from what I've been listening to. I've listened and read every piece of material on GMBA, General Manager Bill Armstrong. I have the Google alerts set up just to get every little nugget I can from this guy, because I think he's a freaking genius, referring to GMBA. But this is sort of an interesting take from Frank Saravalli, and let's just listen in and check it out. Again, apologies, my soundboard's being a little crackly. If anybody knows the good folks at Rode microphones, ask them to send me a better Rodecaster Pro 2, because don't love this. But anyway, continuing on.
I would say if Mikko Rantanen is going to be on the move, I think you'd have to consider Vegas. I think you'd have to consider the LA Kings. And I'll throw a wild card at you, because they've got the prospects, picks, and the cap space to do it, and then even re-sign him, would be the Utah Hockey Club.
Hell yeah.
We want that in the offseason, brother. If we get that right now,
But in the end, I'm not convinced that Carolina moves Mikko Rantanen. I think they keep him and roll the dice and see what happens.
All right, thank you. Hey, thanks to our good friends at What Chaos for providing that clip and putting it on Twitter for us to use and react to. And this is an editorial usage. I'm going to editorialize right now. I get what Frank Saravalli's saying, right? If you were playing GM mode on NHL 25, right, which is a great game, EA Sports, I love that game. By the way, I used to buy the NBA 2K game every year like clockwork. I'm going to transition that to buying the NHL game like clockwork every year, because for one, it's a better game, and for two, it's a way better game. Like the NBA 2K games suck. But anyway, like if you were playing the video game, you were the GM, you were taking the reins, you were pretending to be General Manager Bill Armstrong. And I'll just let you sit with that fantasy for a second, being 6'5", hilarious, charming, intelligent. Anyway, if you were taking that role and you had all the assets that Utah has, right, and you were looking to make the team better, something that feels plug and play, right, in the video game setting, you would probably propose that trade to the Carolina Hurricanes with a combination of prospects, picks, perhaps some other pieces too, like maybe Matthias Michelli, Lawson Krause, maybe a Michael Kesselring, to land a guy like Mikko Rantanen. Mikko Rantanen's a really good player. The last 2 seasons, he's had over 100 points. That's goals and assists combined. This year, I think he's pacing again for another strong season. I think he has 64 points in 49 games. So again, really strong year. He's a guy who's going to command a big contract in this offseason. He's in his final year of his current deal, which is why he was already traded once this season. He spent all of his career with the Colorado Avalanche, won a Stanley Cup there. But the Avalanche, knowing they were going to have to pay him this summer, dealt him to get some pieces back. In return, they got Marty Nakis and Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall went to the Hurricanes as well. But anyway, they got Marty Nakis to Colorado. So the Avalanche were like, listen, we're not going to be able to afford this guy. Let's just get some stuff back. And so they found a suitor in Carolina. But apparently, it seems like there's been an impasse in contract discussions in Carolina. Like maybe they don't want to fork over the money. They don't want to make that commitment to him quite yet. So they don't lose out on him and get something for nothing and get nothing for something. They're going to try to swing a deal and get some assets back in exchange, make him a rental, or send him to a place that'll sign him to a long-term extension. I got to tell you, though, the world we live in is not the same world in which you can pretend to be GMBA on NHL 25. Sadly, I'm sorry, that's just not the way it is, all right? We live in reality, and I just don't see this as a good move for Utah in the short term or the long term, right? So the short term, Utah Hockey Club wants to make the playoffs this year. I think that's safe to say. I worry they bring in a guy like Rantanen in. That could really disrupt the chemistry in the forward group, a group that kind of has struggled to find itself at times this year. It's been kind of woefully inconsistent at various points of the season. I don't see them bringing in a guy who is so puck heavy, would demand so much, gravity, and again, like his teammates to adjust in a big way. I don't see that being a productive move for short-term chemistry. Especially if they're trying to make a playoff push. And I tell you this, in the long term, I don't really see it being a great fit either. And I've said this on the show. And I am living in this reality I'm inventing where I see the Utah Hockey Club really making a push to win a Stanley Cup. Not this season, and perhaps not even next season. In my mind, I think 2030 is the year that they have circled as their year for a big push to win the Stanley Cup. I think, and I say that for a lot of reasons, I think it's around that time that guys like Dylan Guenther and Logan Cooley are going to be just entering the very start of their primes. These guys are in their early 20s right now. They're going to hit their mid-20s in 2030. Clayton Keller is going to have a few years of captaincy under his belt as well. Mikhail Sergachev will be in his early 30s at that point. He'll still have a lot left in the tank. And then you'll have guys like T. Ginla, who will probably be in their second or third, maybe fourth seasons in the NHL 2030. So in my mind, that's the one where I am hoping to see the parade down State Street in downtown Salt Lake City, right? I don't think committing to a $100 million contract, something that would probably be in the range of 8 to 10 years for a guy who is already 28 years old, is going to fit that timeline. I just don't. I really don't see it. I see why it's sexy. I see why it would be something that would feel good here in the offseason or in this season, and then, would generate a lot of excitement. But again, it doesn't feel like the timing's right. And I get the feeling, again, as I've said, from, absorbing every bit of content that involves GMBA, that he is a very pragmatic guy. He's patient. He's willing to wait, to put in the work, to have that parade down State Street in 2030. I think this is a move that would sort of hinder that, because right now Mikko Rantanen is 28 years old, so 5 years, 33. And having all that money tied up to him, not only then, but in years to come afterwards. I don't know. I just don't see it. It doesn't feel like a GMBA move to me, but I reserve the right to be wrong, right? If Utah does swing this deal, holy moly, we'll bring it on. We'll talk all about it. I'll give you the skinny on Mikko Rantanen and get you all excited about that. Again, I just don't see it happening. I really don't. And that's just based on my instincts and what I have ascertained from listening to GMBA for about 10, 11 months now. So That's just my take. But hey, you know what? Before we end the show, let me just say I wanted to, and if you have a hot take, by the way, right here, SLC Puck hotline, 919-666-PUCK-7825. Call and give your hot take. I got a couple great voicemails, by the way. I got a voicemail from a few. It's just so you know, I'm hearing your voicemail. I'm not always able to fit them into what I'm doing here at the show, but I do listen to everybody's voicemail. So I just wanted to throw that out. So appreciate you guys who are calling in. But anyway, I wanted to wrap up the show here just by talking a little bit about the youngsters, the young guns here in Utah. I'm referring to the kids who play high school hockey. And I took it upon myself. I had the great pleasure this week of attending the Utah High School Hockey State Championship games at the Salt Lake City Sports Complex. I know it as Steiner. The games were interesting, I think is how I'll say that. I made a little recap and put that on my TikTok and Instagram. Park City won the affiliated championship with an 8-0 victory over Brighton. Very dominating performance by the Ice Miners. So congrats to those guys. And congrats to Brighton as well on a good season. You know, hey, let me tell you what, finishing second in the Utah High School Hockey state league is no small accomplishment. I'll tell you, as someone who also was a member of a runners-up team in Utah High School Hockey, I can tell you that it's something you could really hang your hat on. You might be able to parlay it into a successful basement podcasting career. So, I'm joking, of course. Congrats to Brighton. I know it's always heartbreaking to lose in a championship game, and those kids worked really hard, and it kind of was very nostalgic. That was, as I mentioned, I was in the Utah High School Hockey State Championship game way back when, 15 freaking years ago, if you can believe that. 2010, my Viewmont Vikings lost to the Skyline Eagles, led by Dean Wilson and Doug Newell. I'm just remembering names off the top of my head. And Daniel Brickley, who ended up playing in the NHL, had a cup of coffee with the Los Angeles Kings. I believe he still plays. I think he's in a league in Sweden or Finland or one of those Scandinavian countries. It would be great to get him on the show maybe in the summer. We can rehash that championship game in 2010. But and then on the independent side, Sky Canyon defeated South Valley for the championship there. So congrats to the champions and to all the teams for making it there. I think, again, this has been a theme on the show. I think what's going to happen at the youth level, I mean, what's happening in the NHL is going to trickle all the way down to youth, right? And I think a piece of that equation is going to be high school hockey. I think as the whole state becomes more in love and enthralled with hockey, not only will SLC Puck grow and thrive, which I'm really looking forward to, but I think you'll also see like the quality of play across the state really improve. And it wouldn't surprise me to be talking here with you guys maybe in 15 years, in 2040, when I'm still in the basement, doing episode 7,000 of SLC Puck, to be talking about, how high school hockey has become sanctioned by the Utah High School Athletic Association or whatever the Utah HSA. I think, it's got to be the Athletic Association or something, whatever it is. It becomes an officially sanctioned school sport, becomes something that is deeply in the fiber of our community. It becomes just, I remember at Viewmont, high school hockey games were huge. We drew a bigger crowd than the frickin' football team at times. And I think there's just so much room for growth in hockey in the entire state. I think along with that, and what would be in conjunction with Title IX, which is fabulous, and I think is a very real possibility, I think you'll see girls hockey, at the high school level also become an affiliate, a sanctioned sport. I believe this year they rolled out their first year ever of having a girls league. Central won that team. So it's a small thing right now. Just have 3 girls teams, a north, south, and a central team. The central team won the championship this year. So, but again, it was really fun to take a trip down memory lane to be at the championship game at Steiner. So go ahead and check out my Instagram, TikTok for that recap. And again, congrats to the Miners and to the Predators from Sky Canyon. So anyway, that's the show here. Well, thanks for tuning in to SLC Puck. Episode 88's in the book. Oh yeah, there's hockey games this week. Utah Hockey Club playing the Detroit Red Wings tomorrow, and then the Chicago Blackhawks the day after that. Playoff race, still a real thing. We didn't really talk about it that much this episode for once. Wow, amazing. But it's real. Utah Hockey Club's got to win some games. They've got to play nearly flawless hockey down the stretch to make the playoffs. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited to see what happens. Follow SLC Puck on social media, slcpuck.shop. And I talked about a watch party last show. That's still in the works, so stay tuned for updates on that. And we'll talk soon, guys. Thank you so much.